Hello again, everybody. Ross Peary here, licensed professional counselor in the state of Georgia and owner of Peaceful Mind Counseling and Consulting. Today, I want to talk to you about EMDR. What is it? I'm going to give you just a very brief introduction to what EMDR is. So, EMDR is one of my favorite therapeutic approaches. It stands for eye movement desensitization and reprocessing. And I know that's a mouthful, but I'm going to give you a brief description, as I said, of what all that means. So, EMDR was created in the late 1980s by Dr. Francine Shapiro. It was originally used specifically for traumas, especially people suffering from symptoms of post traumatic stress disorder. However, it's now used worldwide for a variety of symptoms and mental health disorders. Some of those disorders include anxiety, depression, addiction, grief, loss, fears, phobias, even just stress reduction. EMDR is one of the most studied, researched therapeutic approaches when it comes to post-traumatic stress disorder and traumas. How EMDR helps to resolve problems is a little bit complicated, but I'll try to summarize it the best I can. Basically, our brain typically does a good job storing memories in different networks in our brain so that we can access them when we want them. With normal processing, we store these memories, we access them, no issues. However, when something traumatic happens, our brain goes into survival mode and we focus on things like coping strategies that are just evolutionary, things like fight, flight, freeze, fawn, those different approaches. And while we're in that mode, the memory processing kind of becomes limited, almost shut down. So when we're in that survival mode, those memories aren't being properly stored. It's kind of like they're locked away in a separate part of the brain that's inaccessible to our typical conscience and processing. What this means is they're kind of stuck in the time in which they happen. And so we can be triggered to those memories and those events just like they're happening again because of the way they're ineffectively stored. So how EMDR helps is that it takes that locked trauma that's kind of stuck in that trauma experience and connects it to healthy adaptive information that we know in our brain, but is just not linking up for some reason to that locked traumatic memory. With EMDR, it connects those two so that our healthy information is able to process what happened in the past so that while we still know that it happened, it's not as traumatic and not as triggering as it would be otherwise. And how this is done is through something called bilateral stimulation. That's where the eye movements come in. It typically involves our eyes going back and forth while thinking about a target memory, but it doesn't have to be eye movements. It can be anything that stimulates two sides of the brain. So in addition to eye movements, it can be tapping on our shoulders. It can be listening to audio tones in a headset. It can be holding on to buzzers and feeling the vibration from the left to the right. As long as we're getting that left and right association going on, it helps to unlock the healthy adaptive reprocessing that our brain is just innately able to do. So that was just a very brief introduction to EMDR, just barely skimming the surface of what it is, but hopefully you have some better understanding of what EMDR now means. I appreciate you being here and I wish you a peaceful day.